Ross Douthat is an op-ed columnist for the New York Times. Kasie Hunt is a national political reporter for the Associated Press. And Faiz Shakir is editor-in-chief of thinkprogress.org and vice president of the Center for American Progress. Little news over at your place today. Jennifer Palmieri named
going over
former
to the
president.
White House as deputy communications director. We wish her the best of luck, and I'm sure she'll do great.
All right. More evidence that the Center for American Progress supports Democrats? We didn't know that was true, right?
We support liberal and progressive causes. That's correct.
They support progress. All right. I want to focus in on our polls a little bit, and it's about the issues. I went around about who's an acceptable nominee between Newt and Romney. Now, here's some individual issues. What's acceptable, what's unacceptable. On health care, acceptable, unacceptable if nominee supports individual health insurance mandate. We don't specify whether it's state or national. 63% in Iowa say that's unacceptable. 60% in New Hampshire say that's unacceptable. Ross, both Newt Gingrich and Mitt Romney at some point in time in their career supported an individual mandate.
But the difference is, I think, that Romney is still, in a sense, campaigning on a defense of the individual mandate. I mean, one of the interesting things...
And Newt is saying, hey, I was wrong.
Well, he says, you know, I was trying to stop Hillary care, you know, it was an idea at the time, and so on. But Romney, I mean, the fascinating thing to watch in this campaign has been that Romney, the king of flip-flops, you know, the man has decided that he has flip-flopped so many times that he can't afford not to defend, in some sense, the individual mandate. He won't, you know, he will say Obamacare is wrong for the country. He'll say Massachusetts was wrong. You know, I wouldn't impose it on the nation as a whole. But if you get into, I mean, you'll see him do this in debates. He will not only, he won't say the words, I like an individual mandate, but he'll defend the concept in Republican debates.
Kasie Hunt, on amnesty for illegal immigrants, acceptable, unacceptable. 47% say it's unacceptable in Iowa. New Hampshire, 41%. Not as high of numbers as you might believe when watching these debates. Good news for Newt Gingrich?
Potentially. I mean, you've seen immigration and this question of amnesty or not amnesty drive so much of this Republican primary.
Much more than health care, which we all thought might, or even the economy, or who hates Obama more. It is immigration that has been the separator here.
And it's pretty clear that Romney's campaign has somewhere along the line figured that out and made the calculation that it's smart to spend, you know, weeks hammering Rick Perry on it, and look what happened to him successfully. I mean, he sank himself to a certain extent, but Romney hitting him on immigration did a great deal of damage, as we saw. And I think that, you know, if the Romney folks decide that they need to engage with Gingrich, you know, day in and day out the way they did with Perry, which we haven't quite seen yet, almost not quite
sure what to do with,
I think you're going to see something a similar line.
Faiz, let me ask you this. Newt Gingrich is the nominee. When it comes to, and I know there's all this, you know, you have certain Democratic strategists giggling in the Washington Post today about the idea. But when it comes to what may be the single most important growing voting bloc in the nation, Hispanics, Newt Gingrich is more in line with where Hispanics are than anybody else running for president.
Well, let me first say that I have the minority view amongst my friends on the left on Newt Gingrich. I think he's a better debater than Mitt Romney. I think he's a stronger candidate than Mitt Romney.
You think he'll be a stronger candidate against the president?
I think over time he's going to be the stronger candidate. He's more unpredictable. Mitt Romney is very conventional. But on policy, Newt Gingrich is a policy con artist. He's a gimmicky person. When the issue is hot, he'll come up with a gimmick. When it was drilling, it was drill here, drill now, pay less. When it was Muslim bashing, it was federal anti-Sharia amendment. When it was combating climate change, he was sitting with Nancy Pelosi on a couch. When it was healthcare, he's got a mandate. The thing you need to know, though, is all those gimmicks just go out the window, and his principles are somehow caved to the opportune political moment at the time. And so I think immigration is that political opportunity moment for him.
I didn't know. Do we have George Will on the panel here or Faiz Shakir? I mean, no, but you were actually making the George Will argument a little bit, and this is what the argument of other, what I would call the conservative opinion elite, who say secretly Newt Gingrich is a pro-government. He's a legislating conservative, and they believe that's actually, you can't be a conservative if you're sort of into over-legislating and always believing there's a federal solution.
In a way, although actually I think the conservative opinion elite's critique is more that, I think Will said, you know, something about how Gingrich always has to see himself as de Gaulle and Churchill right in the moment of history. So it isn't so much that he, you know, necessarily has an ideological pro-government bias. It's just at the moment he wants to have a solution, any solution.
Although his Social Security reform and his immigration reform would actually usher in a larger government. through.
I agree. I'm just saying that I think it's practical rather than ideological.
Ross, Kasie, fast, stick around. Trivia time. We asked, what was the first movie that President Jimmy Carter screened at the White House as president? The answer, All the President's Men. Carter saw the movie about the Watergate scandal just 2 days after becoming president. Sending a message, anybody? We'll be right back. You're watching the Daily Rundown, only on MSNBC. Let's bring back the panel. Ross Douthat, Kasie Hunt, and Faiz Shakir. I'm having, struggling. Ross, my apologies if I garbled it a little bit.
One of the great secrets of Washington journalism, how you pronounce my last name.
It is one of the great secrets. And Kasie Hunt, right, instead of Hunt. I want to play a little George Will. We brought up George Will before. Here's George Will on sort of Mitt Romney's problem, comparing him to the candidate. Chris Matthews is going to love this quote. He's obsessed with Thomas Dewey. Here's George Will.
They think they found their Tom Dewey in Mitt Romney. The president is going to run as Truman against Congress, but that's not how Truman got elected. Truman was elected not because he was running against Congress, but because he was running against Tom Dewey, a chilly Eastern Republican governor that people didn't cotton to.
Kasie Hunt, I am reading the David Jordan book about FDR and the 1944 reelect, FDR versus Dewey. I have to say, David Jordan's descriptions of Dewey in there, it just screams Mitt Romney.
Well, and you've seen the Mitt Romney that you're seeing today is the same Mitt Romney that's been campaigning for 2 decades. I mean, watch video of him from 1994 going door to door, and there's a reason why.
Charismatically, although I think Faiz would make the argument he changed his position.
Well, position-wise, it may or may not be the same candidate.
But the person, yeah.
If we're talking about, whether or not he's a chilly Eastern Republican that people can't cotton to, then there's clearly something about Romney that's prevented him from connecting with voters for all of this time.
Yeah, the best line about Dewey is that he's like the little man on top of the wedding cake.
I know. That is another description of him. This weird, he's Mr. Perfect, which again, Mitt Romney, the perfect hair, although it's a little mussier this time, right?
Right, but he's got John Hamm's, he's the Mad Men sort of like,
the epitome of establishment Republican, right? Which is sort of what Republicans look back on negatively with Dewey because they believe he blew not one but 2 chances.
But he's also so insincere about a lot of his positions. I think you can predict where Romney is going to go on a lot of times just by looking at poll numbers.
You're saying it.
Just look at the poll numbers.
All the way.
Yeah. I think Newt is far more unpredictable, smarter political strategist. He certainly gamed out his path to a nomination better than Romney has, and I think he knows how to use political gimmicks to get some attention.
We'll see about that. I don't know if Kasie, what's your sense organizationally? You're on the ground a lot more than the 3 of us when it comes to What's your sense organizationally that Newt can build this?
Well, we've seen some discussions in recent days about how he's picking up the Cain organization. I'm not exactly sure what that means.
What is that?
Yeah. Because I'm not sure what that Cain organization ever actually was. And obviously you saw him implode in June. They've been sort of rebuilding one state at a time. They started in South Carolina. They hired up a lot
close to Georgia. It was easy to get those volunteers to shuttle over a state line.
Right.
But you saw this with McCain, where he won the primaries without an organization. But then
they were winner-take-all primaries then.
He had no...
This is a delicate counting contest like the Republicans have never seen before.
And that's what Matt Rhodes and Mitt Romney are counting on.
As Tom Brokaw has been the first guy I heard say this, he said, Republicans will look like the Democrats in '72 when only one guy understood the rules, and it was George McGovern because he wrote them. Anyway, shameless plug time, Ross.
Shameless plug. Gingrich, read Andy Ferguson in the New York Times from, I think, a couple months ago now, where he reviewed every single Newt Gingrich book.
Oh, he reviewed all the books?
Reviewed all the books. Andy Ferguson in the Weekly Standard, in the Times.
His obsession with alternate endings to, pretty important historical events. Kasie.
AP's accountability project, especially heading into these debates in Iowa, we're looking at, holding folks accountable, doing actual fact checks, not letting people say the things that they seem to say with no accountability.
Well, there you go.
Well, I was going to congratulate my friend Jennifer Palmieri, but I
stole your thunder.
Yeah, you stole that. But Cenk Uygur's got his new show starting at 7 tonight. Wish him the best of luck. You can alternate between Hardball and...
All right. Blah, blah, blah. That's on another part of the cable box. Anyway, that's it for this edition of the Daily Rundown. We'll see you right back here.